All right, we are out here. You can see that fan is turning. The system is running. And what that means is that I did a bunch of work that I didn't actually take video of, partly because we ran into some problems. The unit is running now, and I'm going to talk you through a little bit of the process here, stuff that I didn't record on video. So let's flip the camera and I'll show you this outdoor unit. So several weeks ago, after I got the mini split in the mail, before I did any of the work inside, I was just eager to get started. So I installed the outdoor unit. This is a rigid foam that is covered with a layer of concrete. I bought this with the unit, so I didn't have to pour a concrete pad. I came out, got the ground leveled, set my pad down, got my unit, bolted it down, and then I did the wiring. This is electricity that is coming from this disconnect box, which is wired up to my breaker box inside. So I did all of that before I ever got inside and worked on any of that. The next thing to do was to connect my copper and our cable between the units, which provides electricity to the indoor unit and connects the unit's computers, and to run the drain. I didn't have any problem getting any of that stuff run up through the rafters and down here outside. No problems at all with the drain pipe, no problems with the connecting cable, but I did have some problems when it came to connecting my line sets. These copper line sets are flared, and they're connected with a nut here that squeezes that flare down onto a fitting. I didn't have any trouble connecting the flares on the high pressure or gas side, but I did have some trouble getting these ones connected. I don't know if my torque wrench settings were off, or if, I don't know what happened, but I could not get these torqued down without tearing them off. As you can see, it's connected now out here. But this trouble with getting those flares connected really gave us big trouble. And when I say us, I mean me. Gave me big trouble on the indoor unit. And we'll go inside and talk about that now. So here we are. You can see we are connected. Drain lines, copper lines. That gray wire there is our thermostat wire that goes down through the wall. And here you can see our 40-foot run with several 90-degree turns. I was worried about uncoiling the copper lines, what they call the line sets, and getting them in place. You got to be careful that you don't kink them, but hey, that all worked out fine. Here's where the trouble came. Now you can see I've got a flare connection here. This one worked out fine. And you can also see that is not a flare connection there. That is a soldered connection. Where is the flare? Well, that's the question. When you connect these flare connections, it is vitally important that you have a wrench holding the nut on this side, on the side of the machine. Because once it starts getting tight, it's going to want to turn the copper, because the copper is a soft metal. That's why they use it in these line sets. It's going to want to twist the copper, and if you start twisting the copper, that's when things can break. So the other problem is, when I told you I had a hard time getting these nuts torqued down to the settings indicated in the manual. I was using a torque wrench, holding this side, using the torque wrench to get it torqued. Well, I couldn't quite get them. And what ended up happening is I stripped off the connector on this side. The nut stripped all the threads off on the connector side. The nut was stuck there. The connection obviously was no good. And that was just really, really gutting and devastating to me. But once I got things disconnected and opened up the panel here, then I saw, and I'll show you a picture of the result. Then I saw that a couple of times my wrench had slipped off the nut on this side, and I had twisted this copper line inside here, and it had actually kinked over. So not only had I ruined the flare fitting here, but I had also kinked over and ruined the copper inside here. So that was really, really devastating. When you break a vital component on a several $100 unit, $600, $700 for this indoor unit, that could be pretty stressful, and it was very stressful for me. But my brother-in-law came, and we welded the line together instead of using a flare connection. We got that all welded together, and then we realized that there was a leak somewhere. And I'll show you the picture again and kind of show you where that leak was. I had also had my wrench slip off of this nut a couple times, and I had twisted this one a little bit, and it had wiggled, I think. It had wiggled one of the connections inside right close to the coil, and had broken that. So we tried to weld that, and it was a little bit tense yesterday, but we were able to get them all welded, everything airtight. We pressure tested, we vacuum tested, and then we charged the system, and things started running. Well, sort of. It ran for a little while, and then I started getting. Well, it never actually fully started. It would do all of the startup cycle stuff, but then I would get an error code here on this control panel, and the error code was not one that was listed in the manual. So what do you do when you've got an error code that's not listed in the manual? I tried several different things last night, didn't get it going, but then I called the dealer today, and they told me what the error code was. It was a problem with the water level sensor inside by the coil. That sensor is there so that if your drain pipe is plugged and water starts backing up, the unit shuts off before water starts overflowing. So I looked at some connections, and then I just actually looked at the sensor itself, and lo and behold, the sensor was broken. Not something that we had done. It was broken, it was obviously broken in the factory. And thankfully I was able to just, it was separated a little bit, these two pieces. I'm not explaining it very well, but there's two pieces on this sensor, and the one slides into the other. Well, it was separated a little bit where it was broken, and I was able just to squeeze it back together, and boom, the error code cleared and the unit started running. And I think the sensor is fine. It was just a little piece of plastic that was broken, but not in such a way that I think it ruined the sensor. Wow, so is that it? That's the story. I hope this wasn't too long and boring. The point is, be very careful. If you're going to try to do something like this yourself, even after all the research I did, all the trouble I went to try to make sure I was doing things correctly, even then, there's just when you're learning something new, doing something yourself, there is a learning curve, as they say, and that learning curve can be expensive and heartbreaking sometimes. But we were praying and praying and praying. My wife and kids were praying. I was praying. And I just have to say, praise the Lord. God came through and blessed the work that my brother-in-law and I did trying to fix the copper that I had busted. And then he blessed with wisdom to fix this error code. And it was thankfully something I was able to do. And I didn't end up having to hire someone to come out and get the unit going. So thank the Lord. Thank you for your prayers and for your support. Thank you for watching. And yeah, we're moving now. Part of the reason this was so stressful for me is because without this, I couldn't really move forward and finish everything else. I need these rooms down under here to be warm enough to paint. And now they are warming up as we speak. What a blessing. Wow, I'm just really grateful. Grateful to you and grateful to God, and thankful to have this done, and I'm just excited to move forward. So that is that, and we will see you in the next video, which will be painting or doors or something like that. Until then, I hope you're well, and take care of yourself, and we'll see you later. One last thing, it's the next day, and last night I got my line set cover in the mail, and I got that installed today. So now everything is nicely concealed and protected from the elements. This one is a little too tight. I wish I would have got the 4-inch wide. I thought it would be maybe deep enough that it would work, and it does work, but it's just a little squeezed in there. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.